Hello, friends. My name is Brian. My friends call me BG, and this is BG by the Beach. It is time for everyone's favorite quarterly report, the I read in the last 3 months. If you've been keeping up with this, and please, why would you be? You know I've been on an audiobook journey since January of last year, so the last 15-ish months. For whatever reason, I used to struggle with audiobooks. I still do from time to time. It's getting much better. There's just something about the audiobook format that I just I have a really hard time paying attention to it. I just have to hit the back button so many times, which is irrational because I listen to 100 podcasts a week and don't really have the same problem with those. And I think something about podcasts being a live conversation just tricks my brain into paying closer attention than a fictional story. And then, of course, if you miss 2 seconds of a story, you might have missed something important. You have to go back. It's less important in a free flowing conversation. Anyway, I digress. For whatever reason, I struggle with audiobooks from time to time, but I have noticed it's getting better. And in fact, this year so far, since January, I've made it through 7 books. Pretty good. Average of, a little more than 2 a month, which is pretty close to how I usually do things. 4 of them are audiobooks. And that was kind of driven by the fact that I am getting close to the end of my Wheel of Time audiobook journey. So the reason I'm doing these audiobooks is Wheel of Time is my brother's favorite book series. He has been on me for years to read it, and for a couple of years, he was buying me one of the books for every gift-giving occasion so that I would just have them and eventually would have to start reading them. And it's just look, I love reading. I'm just not a terribly fast reader. It's a leisurely thing. I'm not a speed reader by any means. And when you're talking about, 14 700 to 1,000 page books, that's a that's a daunting task. And that'd take me 4 years to get this. Now with audiobooks, and I can just punch it up to 1.7 speed and zone out. Well, not zone out, that's part of the problem, but just have it on in the background while I'm, vacuuming or cleaning up around the apartment or laying on the beach or something like that, that I can get behind. And so I started book 1 in January of last year, and I've just been kind of plowing through it. So the books are definitely getting pretty exciting now. Crossroads of Twilight is the 10th book in the series. The last book in what I think the fandom not so lovingly refers to as the slog, which is a run of books in the middle of the series that are a little less action packed, a little slower than some of the others. Crossroads of Twilight, book 10, it's fine. It did feel a little sloggy at times, but I thought it ended strong. I moved then into book 11, Life of Dreams, which I really liked. Then book 12, The Gathering Storm, which I also really liked. I'm now probably halfway through book 13, Towers of Midnight. I do have to be honest, I am overall really enjoying the series. I love immersing myself in the world and just getting lost in the story and the characters and all that. And this series has been really, really good for that. I have a very general vibe of what happens since January of last year, so 15 months now. I just kind of hit play and go with the flow. So that's kind of where things are. I mean, part of why I made it through more audiobooks than physical books in this time for the first time ever is because the books have really been picking up and it's been getting more exciting. And a lot of the time, in the evenings and on the weekends when I would be reading a physical book, I'm putting in my headphones and going through the Wheel of Time books. Now for the physical books. We have Last Ronin, Lost Years, right here. So this is a sequel story to Last Ronin, which the Last Ronin is about the last surviving Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and his quest for revenge. So I first found the first one back in the fall of 2022. I was just starting to try to enjoy reading again, after Morgan died. I wanted to try some new things and read some things I never would have read before and figured this would be a quick one. I'm not usually a big comics fan or a graphic novel guy. I don't have anything against them. I just never really got into them. And but the premise of this sounded interesting. And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was such a major part of my childhood. I loved the cartoon. I loved the toys. I loved the video games. And so I figured this would be fun. It's reading supposed to be fun, right? So in reading the first one, reading the first one, you don't know which of the turtles, which of the four brothers is the survivor until you get to the end. That's the revelation. I'm not going to spoil it. It's a cool story. If you're interested in graphic novels or comics or Ninja Turtles, where if you're in your early 40s like I am, and the Ninja Turtles were a big part of your childhood, it's a fun story. The second book, The Lost Years, kind of follows how the last surviving turtle got to that point and the things that happened, after the deaths of his brothers that lead him to go on this quest for revenge. And then it also follows Next Generation. There is a third one. It is up on the shelf right there that I will eventually be reading. Say 4 stars. I've never rated a book on stars before. Let's start now. Who cares? In the graphic novel realm, I have already read Watchmen, which you can probably see right there. And then right here, I have From Hell, which I've also never read, but it's on the shelf. Are there any other graphic novels I should read? Really liked Watchmen. And then I've really enjoyed these 2 Last Ronin stories. I'm sure I will like the third one as well. So I'm, kind of open to seeing what's out there. Next up, The Second Sleep. I wanted to like this one more than I did. It's perfectly fine. I think if I'm going to give it a rating, it's a 3 stars. It's fine. The novel is set in what appears to be like 15th century England. Follows a young priest named Christopher Fairfax, who is sent to a remote village to conduct the funeral of the village's clergy, basically. The priest there died, and Fairfax has to go deal with it. It's a very deeply religious society. It seems very skeptical of science and knowledge. Sounds familiar. As Fairfax settles into his temporary stay in this village and sets about the task of organizing and conducting this funeral, he begins to notice some really strange inconsistencies and kind of unsettling details surrounding the dead priest's life, the circumstances of his death, and like the village itself and the local countryside, and those consistencies and the resulting discoveries make him question everything. Zany antics ensue. And he starts to uncover, again, no spoilers. If you want to read this stuff. If this sounds interesting to you, give it a shot. He starts to uncover evidence that suggests things are not what they seem. The past may not be what everyone is being taught. And I don't know, the revelation at the end is solid. All in all, the execution of the story ended up not as exciting as I thought the premise sounded. I was really excited to read this one, and I think that's probably why I'm more down on it, is because I was so excited to read it, and it was a little bit of a letdown that the disparity seems bigger than it was. You might read this and love it, and I think you should give it a shot. But for me, 3 stars. Gideon the Ninth. It's the first book in the Locked Tomb series. 3 of them are out. 4th one is coming. I can't really tell you much about what happened, but I think that is also kind of by design. My understanding of this series from friends who have read it is that you stumble along a little bit until it all like snaps into place later in the series and becomes kind of earth-shattering for you. Once everything snaps into place, it makes everything worthwhile. It's the whole trip worthwhile, which sounds fun to me. Don't get me wrong, like I loved this book regardless. It's really, really fun. It's really exciting. It's suspenseful. It's creepy. This is, if you watched any of my previous book videos, this is the lesbian necromancers in space book I mentioned last time, and can confirm that's definitely in here. Here's a non-spoiler summary I found just to kind of give you an idea what you'd be getting into. In a far future empire ruled by an immortal necromancer emperor, 9 rival houses practice different forms of death magic. Gideon, on the cover here, a brash sword fighting outcast, is forced to serve her lifelong enemy, a brilliant necromancer herself, as her bodyguard in a deadly trial to earn ultimate power. Trapped in a decaying mansion with other competitors, they must solve eerie puzzle like challenges while suspicion, alliances, and murders mount, forcing Gideon to navigate a mix of dark magic, political intrigue, and a deeply complicated partnership. What happened? So much. Couldn't really tell you what it means. Did I love it? I'm sure it did. 4.5 stars. Read this. And finally, Project Hail Mary. Why have you not read this book yet? Question. I read this book for the first time a couple of years ago. Really loved it. I read The Martian, I don't even know, whenever it came out, 10 years ago, and really loved it. I read Andy Weir's second book, Artemis, and that one fell a little flat for me. And so I wasn't even sure. I didn't even really know this came out. It kind of fell off my radar once I didn't love the second book. The second book is fine. I like it. I liked it. I didn't love it. Whereas I would reread The Martian and Project Hail Mary over and over again. I probably wouldn't do that for Artemis. I would see the movie when it comes out, whenever that does happen. And then one of my friends said, you have to give this one a shot. You have to read it. And I did. And I just absolutely loved it because the movie just came out last month. I wanted to reread it, but I'd heard such good things about the audiobook production. I thought I would give that a try. So even though I'm holding the physical book just because it's a fun cover, I actually did the audiobook this time. Ray Porter, let me be the 1 millionth person to have the unoriginal thought to say Ray Porter absolutely killed it on the narration. And it's just everything you could want out of it. The production is brilliant. The way they handle certain elements of the story is brilliant. Everything about this book is a joy. Maze? Yes. The movie, by the way, was also a goddamn delight, and you should both read the book and see the movie. Ryan Gosling was perfect as Ryland Grace. It was just I love it. I love it. I love it. I really, really don't want to spoil anything about this. So I'll just say this in the way of a summary, in case, against all odds, this is the first time you've ever seen or experienced anything about Project Hail Mary. But so Ryland Grace wakes up on a spaceship, doesn't remember who he is, doesn't even remember his name, doesn't remember why he's there, or who his two dead crewmates are. Through flashbacks, and this is the book, by the way. Through flashbacks, you kind of see him remember things, and as those memories snap back into place, his memories coming back, the investigation of his surroundings, he learns, and we learn, that humanity faces an extinction level event, basically, if his mission doesn't succeed. This book it's full of surprises. If you've seen the movie trailer, you already know that. But if you haven't seen the movie trailer, if you haven't seen the movie and you want to read the book, read it first. I think the surprises and the revelations are worth that. If you haven't seen the trailers yet and you're thinking about reading the book, read the book before you watch the trailers. It's worth it. But regardless, book and the movie are both incredible. I loved both. Absolutely worth reading and seeing. 5 stars with full jazz hands. Right now, I am about 2/3 of the way through Shadow Intelligence. It's a really smart, interesting spy novel. I didn't really know anything about it before I started reading it. There's a podcast I listen to called The Watch that talks about TV and movies and just kind of like pop culture and that realm, music and occasionally books. And the two hosts, Chris Ryan and Andy Greenwald, both really liked this book, recommended it. I picked it up. Let me see where I am so far. It's fun. I like it. It's a nice after Project Hail Mary, The Wheel of Time, The Last Ronin, and Gideon the Ninth. I was like, I want to read a book that is set in the real world. I want real world stuff before diving into either of the next two books I'm considering. So, what comes next? Arrow the Ninth, which is the second book in the Locked Tomb series, the sequel to Gideon the Ninth, and of course, Dungeon Crawler Carl. Shout out to my brother Matt. He's been trying to get me to read the Dungeon Crawler Carl series for like 3 years, way before it became trendy and popular on TikTok and YouTube and all that. He's been on it. He's been on me. And now, one of my best friends, Mike, has joined the bandwagon and is imploring me to read it. And honestly, one of my favorite hobbies is succumbing to peer pressure. So this is probably next. So that's my Q1 2026 book report. So that's it. Which of those two books should I read next? And are there any other graphic novels that are should be on my radar that I'm just missing out on? Would love to know. What are you reading right now? What books are exciting you? Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.